Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Federal prosecutors here in Washington told a judge today that a Russian woman charged with secretly working for Moscow is a major flight risk. Paula Reed reports Maria Butina spent several years getting close to very powerful political figures.
But still, absolutely shocking court proceeding today in federal court in Washington. I mean, with this today, Maria Butina becomes the first Russian national convicted for seeking to influence U.S. politics.
I would like to know more about your laws, about laws of different countries, and especially about practice and experience, how they work in these countries in practice.
She was also actively involved in the National Prayer Breakfast.
Maria, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me for this interview. I'm very excited. We've known each other for a little while now, but now I get the chance to ask you any question that I want. So I really appreciate you agreeing to meet with me on this.
That's a pleasure for me because I need to talk out certain topics. How about we start?
Why? All right. So not many people are talking about this, but it seems like this presidential decree is focused on Western Christians. Is that true?
Well, the decree is not discriminative towards different religions because in Russia we have all world religions represented. However, when we talk about our spiritual values, we should talk about the main things in the Russian constitution, that we think that a marriage is between a man and a woman, not a man and women. And it's a traditional family that has kids. And in our constitution, it's stated that in Russia we believe in one God. Mm-hmm. So you kind of can imagine that this is the Christianity main points. So yeah, and we welcome people who are our allies in a spiritual sense.
That's fantastic. What do you think are the factors that contributed to the president's decree occurring?
Well, I would say the numbers, but that would be not correct because it's more the people. So over the past 2 years, we had more than 3,500 people who came in Russia from the West. Mm-hmm. Well, I won't say it was related to, certain, just the spiritual something, it was related to COVID, because a mandatory vaccination made people to come to Russia, because it was not mandatory here, and we didn't. So that was a disaster, and families who were smart, they just decided to move to Russia. The second thing is that it's a typical but horrible story that in many families they take their kids. They explain it that it's not your kids anymore, it's the government's kids. They play it or dream, whatever. But anyway, so in fact, if your kid goes to school and there is an issue and he or she doesn't want to study LGBT issues, or you don't want your kid to study LGBT issue and you want to take your kid out from school, they say you're a bad parent. And this is a Germany example, because 31% of all immigration over the past 2 years we have from Germany. And these are not German Russians, they're German Germans. So people who have no previous relations with Russia, but they're familiar that we are pro-traditional values. So in this country, that's the story that people tell themselves. If you try to take your kid out of school, they can take your kid and give your kid to the gay family. So they kind of raise your kid properly for some time. Look, as a woman, no. I mean, no. First of all, I will never give my child to anybody at all, and especially in a family of gays, because this is not my Christian belief. So I don't want my kids to be exposed to the culture I do not support. And then I saw this stuff going on in the US too, because there are many people who move in from the United States and Canada. It's because the transgender stuff. So you can, in certain states, you can actually, your kid can come to you and say, well, mom, at the age of 6, I want to change my gender from X to Y. That's not fine. A child at 6 years old cannot make such decisions. And there are many, many things like that people talk of. And for me, that should be really a life threat for the family. So they decide to discover the unknown Russia and go to unknown Russia with all the propaganda stereotypes involved, but then they discover it's fine, but not yet. So that's actually the question of the existence of their families, but the family is what matters in Russia.
You know, it is very interesting, right? Even people like myself, who is, very traditional values, and I was grown up in a traditional family, and we were always taught, the media, don't trust the media. And even us, you still have this image of Russia that is like this dark, mysterious place, and there's dangers all over the place, and you never know when you're going to be taken out of your bed and, taken off to the gulags, like this. There's still like this impression that exists here. Of course, I was even shocked when I came here, but it's really amazing. We, on one hand, even people who are conservatives, who have traditional values, that they think that they don't believe the media, and yet they still, it's so embedded so far. It's very, very sad. But I think that the veil is beginning to fall as things continue to get worse and people need to actually find other options. So I'm very hopeful that people will start learning that. So with regards again to the decree, how does it work in Russia when the president makes a decree? Is the implementation immediate, or is it a process? Is it, president says and it will be this way, or how does it work?
We wish it would work like this, but on the country like Russia, the territory is huge. The amount of people is very big, and it cannot be just, like a wand, whatever, a magic. It's not a magician thing. And magicians are not the great people, though. But anyway, it takes some time, but now it is implemented, and there is a procedure that allows people to come to Russia using the spiritual asylum. Here's how it works. So basically, the only thing you need in there, the list is limited to the Russia's unfriendly countries. It involves the majority of the countries of the West, the US, Canada, most of the Europe, Western Europe. If you would like to go, you just, you apply through a Russian consulate, there is a little application involved, which is not that big, and we're not going to check your face or something like that. No, you don't need to, like they do in the West now. You don't need to sign like the note that you now support Russian government and all the actions. No, I mean, I know all the myths that the Western propaganda is trying to put in front of this presidential decree, but that's not true. So you just fill the application with your basic data, your passport and everything. Yes, we're going to check whether or not you have a criminal record. This is fine. You will go if we're talking about the US, you're going to go to the FBI and apply to the FBI for your criminal records. And it involves the FBI. So in certain states, it might be complicated. Anyway, that's a requirement because we need to know who comes to Russia. Then you will say what family do you have and what your schools, what needs do they have, which is okay. And we don't discriminate. And you just claim that you share traditional values and you come to Russia. Like comparatively what you have been through, now it's easy because the language, knowing Russian language, attention guys, is not required anymore to get your VNG. This is a temporary living permit. There is no quota. So it's not a working visa. You don't need to stand in a line with all the immigrants from the Middle Asia. No, it's now no quotas. And the process, once you apply, attention guys, takes 5 days. Just 5 days to make a decision.
I didn't even know that.
Now, well, everything has been changed because we didn't have an immigration from the West before, so we have to restructure the whole immigration system by now.
Oh my God.
So just wait 5 days. So what do you do next? Once you get your paperwork done, nobody will ask you your education diploma or stuff like that. Only the minimum necessary information. Here's what I would recommend you to do. You come first to Russia using even tourist visa. In many countries of Western Europe, unfortunately not in the US, but in Western Europe, you can get an electronic visa, which is like 2 clicks. And you go and you see by your own eyes, some people offer tours of the living in Russia thing, which is okay, because when somebody is moving, it's a big thing. So you probably want to see where to live. And I get sometimes very funny questions. People say, well, I would like to live in Russia where it's a little warmer. So my thoughts are, well, Sochi or Krasnodar. It's like the climate is close to Washington, D.C., something like this, or Florida, or like Washington, maybe South Carolina.
Yeah.
But then I learned that they are from North Canada, and they say, well, somewhere Moscow or Vladimirska Oblast, Dobrograd would be fine for me because it's a little warmer. But anyway, there are jokes like that. But me and my team, we will talk later about it. We are happy to help you and to tell what options do you have in different Russian regions. If you don't want a big city, fine. Want a big city? Fine. You want to have your own house? Fine. Live in an apartment? Fine. It's up to you. Nobody discriminates you here.
That's amazing. There's a little rabbit hole that involves different countries having different maps that make countries look bigger or smaller depending on where you're from. And so you grow up thinking, okay, well, Russia's big, but like how big? I had no idea until I was here.
We both know that Africa is very small, but in reality, no.
No, right, exactly. But Russia is twice the size of the United States. I mean, that's still a little bit hard for me to comprehend how far that is. Flying to Vladivostok, that's what?
Almost 9 hours.
Almost 9 hours. It's incredible. It's incredible. So no, this is amazing help to just think about the criteria and knowing where you want to live in the mountains, you want a warm place, you want a flat place, you want farming, do you want...
Anywhere, and we have plenty of land. So you actually can do your farming thing, and you actually can have a big family. And in Russia, we are very much welcoming people to, if they want to have homeschooling for kids. I know it's a problem now in the US and in the West, but it's up to you. we will still, there is a requirement that you are assigned to a certain school, so people don't get crazy and just leave their kids without education.
Sure.
And we will absolutely help. Maybe in this video, in the next videos, I will explain how homeschooling in Russia works. So you can choose either option.
Okay. Well, it's going to have to be this video because I have it on the list.
Okay.
We're going to hit a bunch of ones.
Go ahead then.
So I still have a lot to learn, of course, about the practicalities of the Russian political system. But it seems that when there's a decree, then there are certain leaders that become advocates for different decrees. And it seems like you have taken on this standard, as well as Gleb Nikitin, from the governor of Nizhny Novgorod, who I just met recently as well. And you've really taken this decree and made this your top priority. Why is it a top priority for you?
Again, it's like why the decree was passed. It's because, well, the US for good, or, well, now I know that anything God does, he does for good. And even when people do bad things, like they incarcerated me, God still finds the way to bring the justice and the truth into the picture. And thanks to God, I got it in my life. I'm very well known in the West. And people who don't trust the propaganda media and the governments of their countries, they started to reach me out. And I was, by the way, I had no problems in the US prison, because people who are in jails, they don't believe the government, because 99% plead guilty. And it does not mean they're guilty, but they just plead guilty. Because do you remember this famous American singer, Pink?
Yeah.
She has a song, I have attorney to plead my case. That's the case. Meaning everybody just says, whatever, I'm guilty, that's it. And you become a felon, you lose your voting rights, you lose your gun rights, everything. And by the way, guns are legal in Russia. And I know that some people now are sitting here and saying like, no way, Russia is a dictatorship. No, we have a gun law. So if you are a Russian citizen, you can have up to 12 different guns, long barrel, short barrel guns, and rubber barrel guns, and you can go to shooting clubs that are all over the places. No problem, you just go and choose the pistol, because I'm a practical shooter. I know that. But anyway, so and there when people started to reach me out, I realized that I cannot just leave them without response, because they asked me questions like, what if I would like to move to Russia, and we heard that you guys are Orthodox and you are pro-traditional values, and what's the path? And I responded, because I can't, look, I believe I'm a Christian, and I came to God being in prison. And again, God does everything for good. So I was not practicing much Orthodoxy, but in jail I found God, or God found me, it's a proper phrase. I believe that Russia is a salvation ark, no joke. I think people who violate straight Bible rules, that you are not supposed to have gay marriages, you are not supposed to have sex with animals, you're not supposed to involve kids and all of that, and play with God and change the genders and do everything that the West does today, you're going to burn down. Meaning, no joke. So, and my mission, how I see it, a spiritual mission, is to let as many Christians and God believers to come to Russia as I can, but those who don't want, well, that's their choice. It's in the Bible too. We shall not turn around. That's it. I mean, you shall not. I mean, the actual thing, how I understand it in the Bible, what is said, is not you have to leave people behind. No, but you shall not involve yourself in the sinning that people are doing. You should keep your family. Try to help to those who need help. For those who do not, we just pray for them. That's what I do. I just pray for them. It's very sad that they didn't find God, and the Bible is the instruction. Everything is there. So guys, read the Bible and know what's going to happen, and it's going to happen. It's all there.
It's true. My wife said it many times before we came to Russia, and since we've been to Russia, like Abraham and like Lot, they had to leave their pagan lands and go to a new place. This is what God called them to, and this is how we felt when we came. We had to leave our pagan lands. America, if it ever was considered to be a Christian country, it's certainly not that anymore. It's certainly
Very
now
sad.
become a pagan land. And you know, I've talked to you about this a little bit before, but you actually have a tremendous amount of love for American people. You really actually enjoy American people. Our smiles, you mentioned to me even before we began, you're like, keep smiling. This is just great. Like, tell us a little bit about that
Well,
time.
my answer here will be simple. You are the image of Christ. That's it. Meaning, it's in the Bible, again, because in my life, look, I fail all the time. I'm a sinner. That makes me human. And I confess all the time, but I try to follow the right path. And I forgave my FBI agents that put me through tortures. Because it doesn't mean to restore the relationships with someone who hurts you. But you just see in everyone the image of Christ. Jail taught me that. I was surrounded by, let me put it this way, different women with different destinies, doing different things. But who am I to judge them? I was given everything. I have a great family. Thanks to Russia, I got free education. I was not beaten up. I got everything I wanted. And those people, they grew up on the streets. I cannot judge them that they don't know how to say thank you, that they have never been in their high society where I have been. I want just to see in them, and I did see in them, the image of Christ. And you know what happened? Well, they put me actually in the unit with the most dangerous women who would be, different women, but with their very hard crimes.
Sure.
And when I came in, first day, they were trying to kill each other and beat each other up with their food trays, and stealing food from each other. And over time, half a year goes by, and I just love them. Like the half of over all this time, I just love them because they're beautiful, because they are the image of Christ. It was not easy to become humble, but it changed everything. So, and can you imagine, half a year later, we had this little celebration, because sometimes Catholics and Orthodox, we have a matching Easter, sometimes we don't. And so those days we did not. So Easter for Catholics was a little before than Orthodox one. So I congratulated them with the Easter celebration. And actually I drew a little rabbit, like with the eggs. Yeah, I actually have a picture somewhere in my files. I still keep it. And they were so happy about that. It was a happy Easter note, and put it, at our next to a mural that we had in the unit. And then they took all the food, the little food that they have from commissary and everything, and they made a little Russian, as they imagined, little cake for my Easter. That was the most dangerous women, because we all the image of Christ. And once you have love melts the ice. I cannot hate American people. You personally, and all these people, they did nothing bad to me. And even those people who did, they were not understanding what they are doing. And let God forgive them and give them smartest mind to turn the country back to the Christianity. That's my prayer. That's why.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you very much for that.
You're
That's
welcome.
From the heart.
And that's from the heart.
So we have a list of countries. We have this focus on Western Christians that certainly is available with regards to this decree. I don't think a bunch of atheists are going to just pack their bags and go to Russia. I think we're pretty safe on that front. Yeah. What additional qualities are you looking for in potential immigrants to Russia?
None, actually. We are looking for people who are spiritually close to, not even Russia, to the traditional values. If you are a family, if you believe in traditional family, mom and dad, you believe in God, Russia is the option. Just come here to the Salvation Ark and save your family. and save as many people as want to be saved. Okay? That's it. We don't, like some people would say, oh, they're trying to, do this headhunting or something. No, we're not trying to do headhunting. We are Russia. You've heard about Russia, this Russian deep soul and everything. If you measure Russia by their measurement of the West as West became now, it was not this way. But now it's this way. It's not like we are very spiritual by ourselves. That's why we're still like Russia resists and has all these years and decades. We stay united and close, and we went through the Great Patriotic War. We lost a lot of people. It's a lot of sorrow, but we're still together. Why is that? Because we have this with a spiritual heart, not even mind. So no, we don't make a list what you should have, how much money you should have to come to Russia. Though we do not offer any payments. We don't give you all the social security. Instead, you should, when you choose Russia for your primary occupation now, you should check what options do we give. Because there are a lot of taxation cuts if you have a big family. You can, certain regions, you can get free land. You can get free apartment. Not in Moscow though, because Moscow is overpopulated, which is fine. Yeah. In certain areas, you can get free transportation. You can have this special payment for mother heroine, which means if you have more than 10 kids, you can get a special status. And there are free medication. And it's good medicine. It's good medicine. And you will never be declined to be taken into hospital, even if you don't have this private social security. Actually, very few people in Russia do have private security, social security, medical. Yeah, most of the people, insurance, sorry. Yeah. And there are benefits for people who do sports. You can get the tax cuts and so on and so forth. So you discover all these options. And you see, we do not give, as we put it, helicopter money. We don't throw money in people, because when you take money from the rich and give them to the poor, everybody is poor. We give opportunities. And the pressurist opportunity is that your children will be raised as you as Christian want them to be. They can go to the school. And when you become a Russian citizen, all education is free. If you get to a VNG status, which means a temporary living, right? Residency. Your schooling for kids is also free. And they will help you to study Russian language. By the way, have you ever thought why Russians are so genius? Language. The only language in the world that has so many opposites, controversive words, like let's say ужасно красивый, terribly beautiful. So in Russia, it's normal to use. That's why it forms such a hard structure. But people typically master Russian language in a couple of years. English you should study too. So I just studied at school the whole school year, like 10 years.
Especially the children.
Yeah.
Right.
Children get it fast. Yeah. Children get it fast. You don't need any adaptation classes up to they are teenagers after 12 years old. After 12, it's possible, but it will take efforts. For the kids of the first, second grade, easy. They can do it without even you being involved. I'll do it on the good streets.
Well, we should talk a little bit about that with regards to homeschooling. In
Russia, you have options. So Russian government wants your kid to go to school anyway. So you get the basic level literacy, and you have a chance to apply the college or to university. College and university for Russian citizens are free of charge. For people who get here temporary residents, they get their schooling for free, the college for free, but university you should pay for because you're a foreigner, which is okay. But again, you don't have to. You don't have to go to the university level and get your master's and whatever. But nobody's gonna make you to take a loan, and then promise you to pay these loans, but that you will never get. I follow the news. That's disgusting. So anyway, So that's all these issues you get in place. But if you decide that you want to homeschool your kid, you can do so. So here's what you do. You just go to any school around and say, you write a little, claim that you would like to get your child homeschooled. I remember we talked about this point on a personal meeting, and I checked it for you. So they give you a special paper saying, okay, you can homeschool your kid, but please, we have certain exams, like certain dates. Please come so we can check your child that you really give him, basic level of education, which is okay. Yeah. And also, if you need help or you change your mind, and you just want your kid to go to school now, you can go to school because this spot will be reserved for you. The only limitation is sometimes in Moscow they have overcrowded schools, they have too many kids. Then they must, if they don't do so, you ask me, they must to offer you a different school. And again, you do the same procedure. If something is wrong, I am here for you because I want your child to get education. What education? It's up to you. And again, is it hard? No. Does it involve all the papers that you qualified as a teacher? No. And bonus, nobody is going to come and take your kid.
It's a great bonus. That's my favorite bonus, in fact. So I understand that you've created a support system here inside of the Duma. By the way, very cool place. I love this building that we're in.
It's a foreign relations committee. Others are very boring, but this one is a very creative part.
Very, very creative.
Yeah, and I want it to be like home. And people who are talking about my team, we have a team of 12 people that will take your application and before the consulate, before anyone, and answer to all your questions. Like what region you would like to live and how to make homeschooling. Because typically it takes about a half a year or a year, up to a year, for a person to move. To figure out where you would like to go, how to sell your property. Maybe you will travel back and forth as a father, let's say, back and forth several times, which is okay. You'll get introduced to the area. You'll see where grocery stores are. So you kind of adjust. And maybe you will come and live here for like several months before your big family come. This is absolutely normal. Don't get freaked out when, let's say, you call someone and they say, oh, the moving is easy. And you're like, whoa, I haven't decided it yet. No, we just want to provide you as much information as could be useful for you. How to contact me? I'm on X. I'm on Telegram. I'm on Telegram. You can find me on VK. You probably don't use VK. This is a Russian Facebook version. But X is the easiest way. My PM is open. I do it myself because every single person matters for me. And someone might worry that, oh, you are overcrowded. No. People who are smart people with big families who decided to move because they are looking for spiritual asylum. They're not hundreds and millions. Millions are, migrants who come to illegally across the border of the United States and the European Union. You and your family, you're very selective. You make a smart choice. You never ask stupid questions. So I am not overloaded. And I will always assign my assistant to you personally, because guess what? Russia does care about people. And you might say we have not so many and the US has twice as much and so on. We never cared about the quantity. We care about quality. Every life matters. Some people say it, but we actually in Russia, we do it.
It's true. You all say what you mean and you mean what you say.
You know it.
Yes, I do. Absolutely, it's true just from my own personal experience. I remember the first time that we got introduced to each other, I messaged you on VK. An hour later, you sent me a message back. And before you know it, within 48 hours, we had the quota that we needed. just due to your communication with the governor?
Yeah, it's just a system now, meaning we have never had an immigration to Russia from the Western countries because it was the reverse. But now we have a movement of people who are looking to save their families from this LGBT, whatever letters they use, hell. And we're just in the system. That's why I'm working every single day, no weekend, Sunday. No weekend involved, but still every single day for you, because it's my spiritual mission. You cannot be tired from a spiritual mission, okay? Because God is eternal. And that's what I believe in. I don't make anybody to believe in anything I believe in, but I think that God placed me in jail and to this position, so I help in His mission to bring people who need to be saved to Russia.
Slava Bogu.
Slava Bogu.
On this subject, from a religious perspective, the spiritual perspective, so you know several traditional Catholics now. When did you first hear about traditional
Catholics? From you, because I was not aware that internal push in the Catholic Church, but now I know because I studied it also. You guys do a great thing. So you don't leave the church like, Protestants did, and they split to denomination. I got lost in the US what denominations they have. Anyway, but you actually fight to get your church back, your traditional Catholic Church back, because it's not fine to get the rainbow on a temple. No. On a Christian cathedral, there shall not, I saw it in the US, unfortunately, you cannot have an LGBT flag. No. I talked to one lady, she was there, she was a priest. And I know I am against women priests. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm very sorry, but no, that's not our mission. It's not in the Bible. Good luck. Anyway, so I asked her she came to jail and they have this, Sunday lessons. And she said, well, gays are fine. And I said, but look, here's the Bible. That's not fine. And she said, well, you shall not judge. And I said, wait a minute, you cannot do so. You can't just take one phrase from the Bible and say, well, that means sin is fine. No. So anyway, in Russia, we have multiple religions and they're Catholic involved. And now I see, and I very much I'm inspired by your fight because you get your church back. We have Catholic cathedrals here in Russia too. And since you are in the system of the church, you're legal. You practice your religion. But I really want you to have your own cathedral here in Russia. Because I know you have many families, a lot of kids, and you need a place to pray, which should be in Moscow. Actually, historically, it has always been in Russia, because during Ivan the Terrible, it sounds terrible, but actually he created what we call Немецкая Sloboda. Well, every foreigner was called those days a German, but we had Italians and people from Sweden and Germany and, Lithuanians, like all the mixed together, because it was a long time ago. And he had a certain place for Catholics who actually can live, practice their religion. They were not allowed to convert Orthodox in their faith, which is fine, as well as the reverse. Okay, yeah, we don't accept mixed marriages as well. You don't, and I don't take your communion, which is the rule in the church. That's fine. I can still go like this, and that's okay. And I went to the Catholic Mass in prison. We didn't have an Orthodox one, and my priest told me my Orthodox priest, that you better go there because this is the closest religion you have. In terms of they have some difficulties. I don't know about them, so I would do that and go. But anyway, so it's allowed here to practice your religion. You don't have any problem. Nobody stands there. Nobody makes you to do something and convert.
Catholicism isn't illegal in Russia?
It's very legal in Russia, and nobody's going to convert you to Orthodoxy. But anyway, what is important, looking back in the history, so for the foreigners, they had actually a lot of privileges. I am fighting for the privileges for you now, not for payments, but for privileges. Like when you bring your property, you should have a cut. I mean, we shall not tax the property, your own property that you bring when you move in. We have it for people who move back, Russians who move back to Russia, from coming back from exile. Anyway, they exile themselves. But anyway, so I do really want the same thing for you. Like in the Tsar's times, only foreigners had the right to sell alcohol. I mean, government and foreigners, nobody else. They were always involved in this elite professions, like what they could do. I don't know the word, like you do the jewelry.
Jewelry.
Yes. And they could do architecture. The Kremlin was built by an Italian architecture. Well, and we are fine. I mean, people just here, just fine.
Yes.
Because we have the same spirit, we are absolutely okay.
No, it's actually a little bit funny because I had a Polish journalist reach out to me recently for an interview. So I thought it was very interesting. But then he started asking me about all these questions about, well, aren't you scared? Aren't you this? Don't you think? Why wouldn't you move to like...
if you have his contact, tell him I'd like to talk to him.
I will?
would love to do so.
His name is Slava. I will share his contact with you.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
That would be great. That would be great. We can have an article together.
Oh, come on. I talk on Hard Talk on BBC.
Yeah, there you go.
Love to chat.
That's great.
Call me, call Sally, call Butina.
That's fantastic. No, I thought it was funny that a Polish journalist reached out to me because I have a lot of people that say, gosh, you're a traditional Catholic and you moved to Russia? Why wouldn't you move to Poland?
Because they banned traditional Catholics in the US. When I saw that, I was shocked. First of all, how do you define a traditional Catholic? It's like you define Maria Butina, a foreign agent with no money involved and no co-conspirator, and having all the evidence on Twitter. So the spy who tweets and puts all her spycraft online. The best. But anyway, how do you define a traditional Catholic? How are they gonna make you? If they banned you, like you banned, if they ban, how do you measure? So you should practice how many times to go to the church? Like 5 times or less, more? Like that's impossible. This is what I call selective justice. They just want to take anyone into jail. And so everybody is afraid. So you made the right choice. And yeah, Poland is now just a puppet of the United States. It does not make sense.
It's so sad.
It does not make sense. Only 3 countries in the world will never give you, if you ask in spiritual asylum, will never give you back to the country of your origins. If they're trying to take your kids, only 3 countries in the world is Russia, Serbia, and Turkey. All the rest will comply to, you should know that, comply to the United States. And if you claim a spiritual asylum or something, and that your kids are about to be taken, they'll give you back? No, you don't know that. No.
3 countries.
Only 3 countries in the world. Well, typically people choose Russia because Serbia, you never know.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Turkey is probably not that much Christian country.
No.
Well, that's
Kind of one place.
Kind of a bit. Used to be Constantinople, though. But anyway, Istanbul. The Church of Sophia is beautiful still. But anyway, leave this topic behind. But Russia is very close.
No, that is definitely why I've felt extremely safe here. We know that we are taken care of here. People are like, wow, aren't you afraid the Russians will arrest you and trade you for an American prisoner? I'm like, no, we love it here. They love us. You all have been welcoming to us here. And by the way,
guess what? The worst case, when they asked me about this guy, I forgot, Michael Fogel. They always ask me about Michael Fogel, like, is he in prison? He was taking drugs through the border to the school. He was selling drugs to the school. Actually, he was teaching for British and American diplomats along with Russian kids. He was selling drugs to kids. How dare! Like you never touch that. Don't touch the child.
So you know that we've discussed this a little bit, that the chapel for traditional Catholics in Russia is very small and only exists in Moscow for the moment. Do you think that the government will support the immigration and the expansion of traditional chapels and churches for Catholics in Russia?
In Russia, we have the constitutional statute and federal law that allows you to practice the religion you believe in. So yes, you're legal, and I do, and you know that I'm in this fight with you, and I won't leave you alone. I want you to have all the legal rights that you can have in Russia, and this is one of them. So you can actually have your congregation, and the things you believe in. I'm Orthodox, you're traditional Catholic, which is fine, but you are supposed to have your own normal church. I mean, that's not really church. These are not catacombs times, okay? Maybe it's a little civilized more. But we had never heard of this issue before, and I'm glad you found me. So I will be able to help you. I already told you. I keep my word when I talk on the camera, without the camera, and I will stand firm for the law and for you guys as a spiritual, my brothers and sisters who came here looking for a salvation arc. And I do need to help you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it very much. So let's talk about a little bit about more of the practical elements of people coming. Again, come back to that. In your experience helping people, what are some of the things that you would recommend people consider before they move to Russia?
As I mentioned, typically a half a year or a year, and get prepared. Prepare your documents, your passport. You should have your passport with enough pages for your visa. Check out where is the line. Actually, the line for the spiritual visa is faster than the general line at the consulate.
Really?
Yeah, we did magic. And we're working. But that's a nice part. Check where you would like to go. Check all the options. Look chats and groups, by the way, and see what people write about certain regions. And you can, reach out to me, and I'll probably put you in touch with someone. There are plenty of channels, YouTube channels, Telegram, for people like you who have experience. And thank you guys for writing all these videos, recording all this stuff, because people would like to know. So prepare yourself mentally where you would like to go, and think about all these financial issues. So you need to sell your property, but again, baby steps, okay? It's not hard. It takes preparation, and talk to your wife. Actually, typically, you know what? Usually I have cases when wife wants to move, but the husband makes the decision. Meaning she's like your wife. She would oh yeah, we probably should, and it's fine. That's exactly the Christian family. She gives an idea, but you guys make a decision. That's how it should be.
Blessed be God. That's it. What are some of the preparations that people should make before coming to Russia? I guess that you've already answered that in this concept. I guess you have to apostille your documents.
Well, these are the details that people can find online. Here is the most important part. When you come here, you find the place first, you rent the place first, you sign an agreement, register it in the immigration service. Number one is a living issue. There might be issues involved, and not every owner, because we don't have these apartment complexes like in the US. So not every owner is happy with a foreigner living at his place. But typically you can find one who is okay with that. And I would strongly recommend you guys to have an immigration lawyer. You can do it yourself. Russia does not charge. Okay, there is no charge. You have little fee for the visa. That's it. But I strongly recommend you to have an immigration lawyer, because, like in the US, you would never process all the documents. Here you can, but it costs that much, but it actually, and you all know, like there are maybe 5 best immigration lawyers, and they charge almost nothing.
And I guess that is another big difference between being in Russia and being in America. Our document precision, we're not very precise in America, it seems, or much less precise in our legal documents. So I guess another big problem, the challenge that we had was not all of our documents matched up the same.
Yeah.
Right. So this is another reason why I think immigration attorney is really important.
Yes, I solved the problem for you with the patriotic name, because in the US you have middle name.
Yes.
In Russia we have a patriotic name. So you named after your father. And we used to have this problem, and the immigration would not take your documents because you have this, you don't have a patriotic name. Solved. Education, the same.
Wonderful.
Your kid does not need to have a finished education anymore. None.
Wow.
That's it. You just have a certificate from the school, what courses your kid completed, so we can at least see what's the level. And so you assign to the school. If you homeschooled, just bring whatever test papers you have.
Okay.
We are very flexible on the spiritual visa.
Okay. Blessed be God. That's wonderful. Okay. Of course, you've lived in America and you've lived in Russia. And there's a shift that you need to take when you're moving to somebody else's country. You have to change your mentality, or at least have an understanding and be able to accommodate the change in the mentality. What kind of things should Americans adjust for, accommodate in their mentality?
It's a better question to you, but I adjusted back and forth fine. Look, I don't know about you, but I didn't have a shock adapting issue. I did not. And actually, we kind of, especially with Americans, we very much look like each other. So we socialize similarly, and you're not, like, people will be suspicious of you. I mean, that's just the daily routine. In the US, I faced it, so people would be kind of, oh, she's Russian, but it's not an evil suspiciousness.
Yeah.
They would be more curious, and they would try to invite you to visit them.
Yes.
No, they're not KGB. They just like you.
Yeah.
Russia is very interested in the foreigners from the West, always has been, which means that they will try to feed you something.
Yes.
That's okay.
It's okay.
And if you don't eat fish, eggs, that's okay, but don't tell them about it, because in Russia it's caviar, and it's a delicious. It's a sign of the top love to you. So if you don't eat it, try to be polite. So, because I know one time I had my American boyfriend to come to my parents, and he didn't want to eat it, and my mom, she was like, but we gave him the best of the best. And you're not expected to eat caviar, or you go to jail. No. So if you don't like it, just tell about this. We will not be offended. We will eat it by ourselves. We're okay with that.
Okay. You'll save
All
it for
the
you.
foods I hear on all the food is healthy. We don't have, guys, enough money to put chemicals in this food. So it's fine. And you will have grocery stores everywhere, by the way. We don't have typically these huge malls, but the groceries, I love it. It's like European one. So fresh bakery and all this cheese and all this stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's close maybe up with that.
Okay.
I know that you're very big into health. And again, you've lived in America, you've lived in Russia. When my wife moved to America, she said, Jozef, your American food is going to kill me.
It's general.
And in fact, it was, a lot of her health problems were solved when she came here to Russia. We had the healthiest pregnancy that we have had together. I won't bore you with the gory details of the thing, but I, as a guy who knows almost nothing about medicine, I was shocked at the healthy birth of Misha here in Russia. So
here's why. Because we eat healthy, and it's very interesting, but you do not see ugly fat people on the streets. Very few people here have diabetes. Usually it's just a generational disease. I mean, goes from mom to dad, mother to son, and so on. You don't get here people who are actually killed their kids with eating at McDonald's, because people eat healthy here, and it's by design, meaning we eat good food, we exercise. That's why we look this way. Have you ever thought about this stereotype that Russians are very strong and women are beautiful? Guess what? That's why. So your kid actually will not be ever made to make this and to eat junk, and you will never take your kid to the fast food, because every single place you go to, and look at the yogurt, it's yogurt. There is nothing else. Yogurt. Milk is the milk.
The milk.
Nothing else.
Exactly.
That's great.
I actually think that it's kind of funny, because I think a lot of Russians are always there even looking for the better food. So they say, no, even the stuff in the grocery store to them is junk. We must have this even better. And I'm like, the guys, stuff in your grocery store, like I feel like I'm at Whole Foods, which you have to pay ridiculous amounts of money for to walk into your grocery store.
Listen, the only thing that I will probably miss from the United States, sometimes, just a little bit of peanut butter.
Just a little bit.
But the low-fat one.
Low fat. The blue one. Yeah. Creamy or crunchy?
I'm on the creamy one.
The creamy, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maria.
If somebody has questions for your video, we will be happy to have the second part, since you like my office.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
Maria.
Thank you for coming to Russia.
О, Пресвятая Владычица, Госпожи Богородице, прими недостойную молитву нашу и сохрани от наветных человек и от напрасности. Слава Тебе, Христе Божие, упование наше, слава Тебе.
We've already started putting up the lights for the winter time. Quite beautiful. So I don't know about you, but I thought that interview with Maria Butina was pretty awesome. I love speaking with Maria Butina. She's such a kind and genuine person. So I highly recommend, if you're considering a move to Russia, that you spend some time and some thought planning, like she was saying, but also to make sure that you reach out to her, make sure that you get some help, think about the plan, baby steps, like she said, and need to make a plan. That's the key. So anyways, I'm walking around. Right afterwards, I got some souvenirs at the Duma for my mother and my wife, and now it's good time to get some souvenirs for the children. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite souvenir shops that's in Red Square, and they have amazing everything. It's really cool. Let's go inside.
about the chicken and the duck. A chick and a duck. In Russian? No. Okay, in English. Okay. First, the duck was born from this little egg. And then he said, "Oh, I am here." And then you see that the little chick says, "Well, I'm here too." Well, and then the duck said, "Well, the dogs are so happy because the prince walked up. So, and then they were, and look what we have here, the mushrooms, and we're in the favor of mushrooms.
Available flights for a family who are flying in. Everything was really expensive.
How did you guys
We never thought, I thought about it, and at first I thought that's not how I'm going to meet my staff. I'm not going to do that. That's not how I imagined I'd meet my staff. And then I thought, if they lived in the same section,
Here we go. That's easier. Open jeszcze.
That's why.